Making sure I get my beds ready for the winter. And it is cold out here today. So our nighttime temps have dropped down to the 40s, and we are past our last frost date. And what I've done is I added a layer of compost on top of the soil and some netting to keep the squirrels, the possums, and the skunks and the cats out of my beds. Normally I would put a layer of leaves, but so this is how I prep my beds. So we're getting really close. You can see that this compost isn't 100% broken down, but that's why I've learned to put it on in the fall. Let the worms enjoy the heat of the compost, break it down. So by spring, it brings my soil levels up, add more nutrients, and the worms can work on it until it just gets too cold. So this bed, I haven't done anything yet. I have to add a layer of compost to this, netting, and also the leaves. So that's what we'll do today. So here's my compost bin, and it's been making compost all season. I have put some fresh things on top, the chives, but what I'm going for is that dark compost there. So I'll kind of move the chives off to the side. I'm going to add compost to my bucket here, and I'll add an inch, maybe 2 inches to the top of my beds. Now, a compost tumbler is really the best way to compost. You just get all this lovely richness. Now, I have been known to throw whole potatoes in here. Because I constantly add, I never take a break from adding. I do have some big particles in here, but they'll finish off in the beds. Anything that's too big, I will simply just throw back. But this has really made a difference for me, and I'll restart it. I have a big bag of kitchen scraps in my kitchen that I'll add. I'll leave just a little bit of this compost behind just to kind of seed my next batch. Now on the bottom is perfectly broken compost. Towards the top, because I have a one chamber as opposed to a two chamber, um, I do have some big pieces, but it's gonna sit on that bed for the next 6 months in the winter, providing shelter for the earthworms. They will stay awake a little longer because of the warmth of this composter, and they'll just be mulched away. And these are very close to breaking down, so I'll add this to the top of my bed. We'll add these back into compost. I'll also add kitchen scraps, and I'll add some leaves from my tree and start the process all over again. This has really made a big difference for me. I will actually fill this up to capacity this fall with leaves. And so here's a quick look of my compost, and I'm usually able to add toppings to all of my in-ground beds. I usually can add an inch or two. I topped off my beds in the spring with the compost that I made last winter. This is the compost I made during the summer, just cleaning up my garden, harvesting things. They go right in here, and so I'm able to top off again. So this has been a wonderful thing for me to have compost at my disposal. And so we're going to add it to this bed here. Okay, so let's go ahead and protect this precious soil that I've been nurturing. I'll just pull out anything that might look like a weed because we don't want to nourish the weeds. And so my compost is as dark as it's as dark as the soil. So like I mentioned, it's pretty broken down. I just make sure I don't have potatoes Any sticks are okay. I have banana peels in here. None of it's recognizable. I just know what I put it. So these big things like the sticks, I can grab these off the top. But the rest of this, like look how much this is broken down. Totally broken down. I mean, it's just powder in my hand. This was a banana peel. That's banana. Okay. And so I got the compost just to protect my soil and it will continue to break down. Normally I would add a layer of leaves to the top of this, but I don't have leaves right now, so I'm going to put some hardware cloth just to keep the skunks, the possums, and the squirrels out of my bed. And the cats. I don't want my bed to become a giant litter pan. Okay, so all I do is I just kind of cut a 4x4 or 3x3 or whatever size your bed is. Hardware cloth, and because it's flexible, you can bend it to shape the way you want. And I just clip it on the sides. I'm just making it no fun to dig. Okay, this bed, well, at least I have two beds prepared and put to sleep for the season. So now that that's done, let's do a quick trip around the garden. And so we'll start with the ornamentals. I start clearing out the area. There's some things that can take a frost. The rose bush, I will prune that in the spring. I just don't want to deal with it now. My sweet alyssums are pretty hardy, so I'll leave them. I've cut back my hostas. I left just enough in case we get a really warm spell and the frogs decide to move about. But I'm not gonna sweep it down to the ground because you need to leave space for our insects to overwinter. Same thing here. I did shear down my hydrangea, but I don't go to the ground. I leave a little bit of sticks for insects and a little leaf cover. Okay, same thing here. Now my herbs, I plan to get one more harvest before the snow covers them up. So I'll leave them as they are. I will bundle them and provide cover during the coldest part of winter because they are in containers. Okay. Actually, the oregano and the chives, they don't need any cover. But the thyme definitely will need some cover because we can get into double digit negative Fahrenheit temperatures. Okay. Now, I do have turnips and I've harvested from this side twice already. The bulbs are substantial, so I think I will get in and harvest some of that today. This side I will leave to grow on. My yarrow, I did dig up a patch from the ground. I'm keeping it in the container over winter because I want to relocate it and it'll be fine. Yarrow is extremely hardy. It will grow back. It is a perennial. And so I have to make a decision on where I want to put this. Okay. I also have some mustard greens. I've harvested this mustard area 3 times. Uh, I think I can get another harvest out of it. Mustards are cool tolerant, but there is a temperature where they just will not survive, and we actually reach those temperatures. So I try to keep cutting and get as much as I can. I do have frozen mustards. I have fresh mustard sitting in the refrigerator, and I have mustard still on the plant. So I'll probably do one more harvest of this today. I had to replant my spinach because I found an army worm. No, it was a cutworm. I can't remember. I found a couple worms. So I did reseed, and I'm hoping that there's enough sunlight to get these to grow up. I do have frost cover, and I've had spinach to just suddenly start growing in December. Seeds in the ground, cover overhead, and just wait and see what happens. And my Swiss chard, it's time to harvest again. I have harvested continuously. This is my frost to frost planting, and I am going to harvest again because I have some nice sized leaves on here, and I don't want anything to go to waste. I've been able to provide Swiss chard to my family members as well as my own household, so I think I'll harvest some of this today as well. It's still too warm for the strawberries. I don't actually thin the strawberries until they go dormant. I try to wait for the first snowfall to just kind of knock them down a little bit. But they're still trying to put on runners. And in this green stalk vertical tower, I've been able to keep up with the runners. But boy, strawberries can be quite aggressive. Okay. I do have a layer of herbs on the bottom. And I forgot to mention I have lettuce coming in as well. This is my attempt at sage. The roots are in the ground, so maybe I'll see it next year. Got some sweet alyssums. And here is some more thyme I've propagated from my original thyme plant. Okay. So I try to have my herbs in a couple of places in case the weather takes it out. Okay, I have my parsley growing in, and this was totally eaten away by swallowtail caterpillars. Um, but they've turned into butterflies and they grew right back. Got plenty of Swiss chard that needs to be harvested. I have a bunch of onions that needs to be harvested. I do have garlic in the ground. I have some carrots as well. I have lettuce growing here. It looks like it's waterlogged. I do have some celery. I've been taking the celery inside and I dry the leaves to make a celery powder. Some people call it celery salt, but I don't make mine salty. I just make celery powder with it. The stalks I cut and I put in the freezer. I have rosemary that I'm using fresh for as long as I can, but I also have dried rosemary inside. Okay. Oh, I also have one remaining uh, tomato plant here, and we'll just take a closer look. Okay. This is the tomato that just won't quit. This is a volunteer. And when you have volunteers, they are the strongest plants. I have not watered this, I have not fertilized it, and it's the last man standing. With beautiful size. Look at the size of these cherry tomatoes. These are beautifully sized cherry tomatoes. I mean, this is the most healthiest tomato plant I've ever seen. It's taken the brutal heat, it's taken this cold, and it is still going. So, volunteer tomatoes, that's the way to go. Filling up my water lines so that I can get them ready for the winter. Now, I did not get these out because I'm watering my greens, but I will be pulling those today because the worst thing can happen is freeze a water line. I'm not talking about the outdoor water line. I'm talking about the water line that runs to my outdoor spigot. So I actually turned this off for the winter. There's no water going to this line. And so I need to take some time to prepare for that. We will go back to hand watering with a container. It is truly cold outside. Winter is upon us. The days are getting quite short, and I do have some fall plantings in place, But I pretty much got all of the leafy greens I'm going to need frozen inside, and everything outdoors is a bonus for freshness. Okay, so I thank you so much for joining me in the garden. Hopefully, you are preparing your beds. This is the perfect time to add nutrients back into your beds, any bed that you're not using. Add nutrients and cover. Okay, it's been wonderful. Thank you. Have an amazing day.